we will get going. Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining. I'm going to ask that you stay on mute and off video for the presentation until we open it up to questions. And at that point, we'll be able to get your feedback and any thoughts that you have on what you heard today, and we can answer some personalized questions if needed. But really, really excited to be here. This is Open Avenue's 4th year in existence, and things are growing and growing, and we have a lot of awesome things to share today about this Cap-exempt H-1B solution, who we are, what we're doing. So I'll just start with a brief overview of Open Avenues, and I will, oh my goodness, awesome. So Open Avenues is a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Boston, Mass, but we work nationally across the country with companies, law firms, and foreign talent. Our goal is to demonstrate that diverse global talent is actually catalyzing positive outcomes for the US economy and society, not taking away jobs, not hindering the growth of US students or professionals, but rather creating pathways for those individuals. And so through our Global Talent Fellowship program, we actually demonstrate how foreign nationals can open career pathways for US students and train the future US workforce, all while having foreign nationals actually stay and continue to work for companies here. So that's what Open Avenues is about. That's what our Global Talent Fellowship does. And we'll talk more about that today. And I'm just going to ask if folks can put themselves on mute. Thank you. Awesome. I'm going to try to do this. Actually, perfect. Cool. So let's start by talking about the H-1B visa in general, because that is what Open Avenues really became known for addressing. That's why we developed the Cap-exempt H-1B solution that we have today. So as many of you on the call know, the H-1B visa is the most common work visa in the United States. Foreign nationals with a bachelor's degree or more education can apply for an H-1B visa with their employer and by their employer. And the individual must have a degree within the specialty field that they're going to be working in. So for either a Cap-exempt H-1B or an H-1B visa, you must be qualified for an H-1B. These are the qualifications here, and we'll talk more about what qualifies an individual for our program later on. But to set the scene, we know that foreign nationals make up a significant part of our STEM and business talent pool in the United States, especially today, labor shortages. There are so many foreign nationals who are working for companies, and companies are not willing to lose those individuals. So there is a demand to sponsor H-1B visas right now. However, they're on an annual lottery system, which is randomized. It does not matter what country you're from. It does not matter what your background is. Everybody goes in with an equal chance in March to enter into the lottery and get one of the 85,000 slots available. If you win the lottery, you're able to then apply for an H-1B work visa. You can't apply without having won in the lottery in March. You find out right in April if you won the lottery or not. So step one for anyone interested in an H-1B is definitely entering the lottery. Plan A always is to win the lottery and apply for your H-1B and start October 1st, the new fiscal year, in H-1B status. That is plan A. Open Avenues with Cap-exempt H-1B visas is a plan B. So we're going to talk through that plan B today. Of course, the cost of losing talent is significant. So companies are incentivized to think, if an individual doesn't win the lottery, what do we do? Is there something we can engage in to ensure that we keep this individual in our company? And so that's another reason why companies usually will engage with us if there is an individual who has lost the lottery within their company and they're looking for that next step. Awesome. So let's go over Cap-exempt H-1B visas and what they are. So if an individual loses the lottery, a company that is typically has to enter into that lottery doesn't really have many options for sponsorship. But there are a few organizations in the United States that Congress has deemed are exempt from this lottery system, exempt from the cap of 85,000. And these organizations can sponsor individuals for cap-exempt H-1Bs, the same as an H-1B work visa, at any time of year. And they can be approved really quickly with premium processing. So the 4 types of organizations that Congress has deemed cap-exempt are universities, nonprofit research institutions, government research institutions, and nonprofits that are affiliated or partnered with universities. So if you work for one of those organizations already, fantastic. Your company can actually sponsor you at any time for a cap-exempt work visa. However, most individuals in STEM and business don't work for a cap-exempt organization. And if they lose the lottery or want to come from outside of the United States, which is in a situation we didn't talk about yet, both situations are a good reason why you would want to go with a cap-exempt H-1B visa option. So for Open Avenues, we're a nonprofit, a 501c3 that's partnered with universities in the United States. This gives us cap-exempt status. Our employees are eligible for cap-exempt work visas, and we file them at any time of year and can get them approved in 6 to 8 weeks. So we'll talk through that process and how that flow of the visa, the petition development and visa process works. So Open Avenues, as a cap-exempt organization, has built a program called the Global Talent Fellowship. Now, you have to be employed by a cap-exempt organization to get sponsored and get that initial work visa, the cap-exempt work visa. So Open Avenues Fellowship is actually a part-time employment opportunity for foreign nationals to work 5 hours per week for Open Avenues to train the future workforce, to train students at our partner universities and work for those 5 hours in your field of expertise. So fellows who have a background in software development are going to lead projects for students in software development. Foreign nationals that have a background in biotech and work for a biotech company would join Open Avenues as a fellow in biotech and lead biotechnology projects for students. The types of projects we launch are on the right-hand side. We launch 5-week micro internships. These are small, short projects for students. We lead boot camp projects, which are a little bit longer and are paired with a curriculum and a partner company that we work with named Stack Education. And we have in-class projects at some of our community college partners where we actually go into the classroom virtually, of course, and launch these projects for students over the course of a semester. So these are the types of ways our fellows engage. Now, once an individual, it's awesome that our fellows are working 5 hours per week for Open Avenues, but all of you are probably wondering, how does that mean that I can continue to work for my full-time employer? Because we know that that's the goal. It's great to work in this fellowship and engage in this way, but really important that you continue work for your full-time employer. So let's talk about the visa process and the timeline here. So we have a situation where an individual needs an alternative to the H-1B lottery, a way to get into the United States from abroad, or a way to get into cap-exempt H-1B because their OPT is expiring. So Open Avenues is going to do an evaluation of your transcripts, make sure you have a good H-1B case. Make sure that you actually have a specialty occupation. If you do, and we accept you into the program, then Open Avenues can file a petition for you as a global talent fellow. We partner with companies, we don't welcome foreign nationals into the program without a company actually signing a contract with us. This is very important. We have companies nominate foreign nationals for this program. They have to pay the fellowship fees and engage with Open Avenues in that way in signing that contract. So this is the full-time employer that you're working for. Open Avenues will file this Cap-exempt H-1B visa, and we can get that response within 6 to 8 weeks. Now, the key in the process is that the law says as soon as an individual is approved for a Cap-exempt H-1B visa for a Cap-exempt organization, meaning once our fellows are approved for the Cap-exempt visa with Open Avenues, it immediately opens the door for any private employer, your biotech company, your software company, to file a Cap-exempt H-1B visa also. Even though the private employer is not Cap-exempt, they're immediately able to also concurrently file this visa. And so as soon as Open Avenues fellows begin work that first day at Open Avenues as a fellow, the full-time employer is eligible to file the Cap-exempt H-1B petition, their own petition for your full-time employment. And so all of our partner companies right now have employees working 5 hours per week for Open Avenues in the fellowship, leading these awesome experiential learning opportunities for students, and they're working full-time now for their employer. The employment with the company can happen immediately. The petition just needs to be filed. It doesn't need to be approved. So this is really a fast transition into Cap-exempt H-1B with both Open Avenues and the full-time employer. So Global Talent Fellows continue to concurrently work for both Open Avenues, the Cap-exempt employer, and the full-time employer. This is very important. USCIS has clarified that you must remain employed by the Cap-exempt employer to maintain Cap-exempt H-1B status with the company. So you have to stay in the fellowship for as long as you need a Cap-exempt H-1B. And that means that, folks are going to continue to enter into the lottery each year. Some individuals have green cards that are pending and their EAD might be approved. Some individuals are going both the O1 and H-1B route because they want to get into H-1B faster, but they want ultimately to transition into an O1 extraordinary ability visa. So there's different individuals who have different pathways. Open Avenues is a fast solution. It's a way to give back to your community and train the future workforce as you figure out your long-term immigration steps. So that's the visa process. And then we'll talk about partnering and what this looks like. So I said we partner with companies, okay? So foreign nationals would not apply for our program unless they have a company that is willing to sponsor them, willing to partner with Open Avenues and engage in our fellowship program. So partner companies will nominate a foreign national, meaning they'll contact Open Avenues and say that they have an individual that they're interested in nominating for the fellowship program. Of course, unfortunately, we're not working with individuals that are not currently employed. So you have to have that job offer from the company. You don't have to be working there already, but the company has to be hiring you in that process and willing to sponsor you for the visa. You have to have the U.S. employer that has that position available in your specialty field. So we talked about those H-1B qualifications, and they're really the same here. So we're looking for that strong specialty occupation, meaning you have a degree in a field of expertise as determined by the Department of Labor. So the Department of Labor in the United States has put out a list of specialty occupations. Software developer is one of them. For data scientists, we can find mathematics or statistics as a specialty occupation. So we have that list, and we do this evaluation for free upfront to make sure you're qualified to engage in the program. We would never actually have individuals sign up and join the program without ensuring that you have a strong petition. That is our priority. And that is the reason why we have a 100% success rate for all of our fellows getting into Cap-exempt H-1B visas, because we do this work upfront. We do this evaluation work upfront, and we're very good at being honest and making sure we're getting the credential evaluations if necessary by professionals. So you can contact us to do that evaluation before engaging. We are also looking for experience in mentorship, working with students, managing peers. The reality is this is a 5-hour per week commitment. And so while having a visa solution is awesome, we're really looking for folks who are interested in giving back to communities, interested in training the future workforce, and have some experience doing that. That's really helpful for us when we're putting you in front of students and looking to have you engage and help them on their path to their dream careers. So really interesting to look at the company benefits, right? Because whether you're a company joining this call or whether you're a foreign national, you want to know what else you're getting besides this visa solution, because it's fantastic that you get to keep your foreign talent, but there's actually other pieces that are really valuable from this fellowship program. One of them is that foreign nationals are joining this diverse community and our network, and are able to meet other foreign nationals within their field. And that networking is hugely valuable for folks building that social capital in the United States, specifically within their fields of expertise. And in that way, and in working with students and in leading these experiences, it's very much a leadership development opportunity. Managing students and learning how to communicate work for junior level folks is really valuable in career development. We also are able to provide a pipeline of very diverse students into companies as potential future candidates. So if we have a software developer fellow who is launching a project, an industry project from your company, a product that's relevant to your company, the students who work on it are going to be providing deliverables that are really the best first round interview indicator you could get of whether this student would be successful in your company or not. So it's pretty cool what we're able to do in terms of connecting these diverse students from some of our community colleges, state universities, to the companies themselves. And then obviously community impact work. This is specifically when we're working with very diverse student populations, it's hugely valuable to have these companies and these highly skilled foreign nationals giving back to the community, training the future workforce, and we provide companies with all of that data about the impact that the fellow is having, and that can be used in company reporting, et cetera, as you talk about the impact that the company's having in the United States and in society. So we will go on to the company commitment. So to run the fellowship program, there are fees. And so we file the Cap-exempt H-1B work visa. As you can imagine, we have costs that we cover through charging companies for the fellowship. This is why we actually don't have foreign nationals enter into our program directly. We charge the company for the fellowship program. And so we have an initiation fee for the program when you get started of $12,000. This includes the Open Avenues Cap-exempt H-1B that we file for you. It includes the premium processing to get a response in 15 days, the government filing fees, and allows us to scope and put together that project that you'll ultimately launch with students and connect them with universities. That $12,000 is paid immediately upon when we sign the agreement with the company. And then everybody is in our program for a different amount of time. As we talked about before, some individuals are in the program until they win the lottery. Others are waiting for a green card. So some folks are in our program for 6 months, which is our minimum, and others are in our program for a year and a half. So we have quarterly fees that we charge. These fees allow us to actually pay student stipends and do the awesome education work that we do with the partner universities and students that are in our program. So we charge, the companies are responsible for 100% of this commitment, and it's all in our agreement that we sign. Just a quick look at our company partners. There are 30 of them this year, which is super exciting. We actually, in the past 2 years prior, slowly but surely figured out how we were going to scale this program. So we started with just 2 fellows in 2018. And here we are with 30 from 2021. And again, 100% approval rating for everyone. And we've grown our university partnerships to 7. So we're partnered with Benjamin Franklin Institute of Technology here in Boston, Worcester State University in Massachusetts, Merrimack College, Mass Bay Community College here in Boston, Tufts University, University of Northern Florida, Illinois Institute of Technology, and Vanderbilt University. And Stack Education has many university partnerships themselves that we engage with. So we are doing awesome work for these universities. We bring our programming for free. Our fellows are launching our experiential learning with students and offering them to students who are at our university partners. Really important point about law firms. So Open Avenues files our Cap-exempt H-1B work visas for our fellows with Goldman and Partners Immigration Law. Jeff Goldman is a co-founder of Open Avenues. His firm gives us great rates, and we're really happy with the 100% approval rating. So they do our work visas. However, we work with any law firm to help facilitate this program so that the full-time employer or the company can file a concurrent visa with their own law firm. So that's also a cost that needs to be considered when you think about the big picture of cost for sponsoring someone in a Cap-exempt H-1B. Open Avenues fees are included. We work with Alcorn Immigration Law out in Silicon Valley, Corsan Law Group here in Boston, and SWLG, which is out west as well. And we have a few more law firms that we've worked with in the past who have sent us some of their clients. So happy to work with any law firm that you are comfortable with so that they file the concurrent H-1B for your company. So I will pause. That was a lot of information. So I will actually start to take questions. You can hop on video and ask your questions one at a time. That would be awesome. And we can go from there.
This is Mihir. I have a quick question. So just going back to the timeline. So if we get accepted and do the fellowship program, after that you guys file for a Cap-exempt H-1B, and then our employer separately has to file for a Cap-exempt H-1B on approval of the H-1B through Open Avenues Foundation. I'm just wondering how you mentioned people up, waiting for a green card or applying through the lottery. If we were to get a Cap-exempt H-1B through Open Avenues Foundation, couldn't my employer simply transfer that to? Couldn't that be just transferred to my full-time employer as once they apply for a Cap-exempt H-1B?
Yeah, so you're asking, once you're in the program and you get approved for a Cap-exempt H-1B, why can't you just transfer that to the full-time employer? But in 2016, USCIS put out a memo that clarified this for everyone, and it said that for anyone who is getting a Cap-exempt H-1B approved and then has a concurrent employer that's also applying for a Cap-exempt H-1B, you have to maintain status and maintain employment with the Cap-exempt organization. So you have to think about the Cap-exempt organization as sort of the baseline. It's like holding up the status of the other Cap-exempt visa. And so if you take away that base, you take away the Open Avenues Cap-exempt visa, the other one is no longer going to be valid because you're not working for a Cap-exempt organization anymore. So you have to maintain employment in the fellowship for as long as you need a Cap-exempt visa. If you win the lottery, you just transition into a regular H-1B visa, or you file for a regular H-1B visa.
Got it. So the idea would be that you get a Cap-exempt H-1B through the Open Avenues Foundation, and that would support a Cap-exempt H-1B at my current employer, and during that timeline, I can apply for a regular H-1B, and that would allow me to transition out of the program.
That's right. Exactly. And many individuals, so like right now, the lottery is about to happen. So for individuals, what they're going to do, most are going to enter into the lottery, see if they win, and they'll find out by the first week of April. And if they don't win, but their OPT expires in the next year before March of 2023, then they're going to need to consider a cap-exempt H-1B to transition into status, because they will lose, foreign nationals will lose status before the next lottery, if this is their last chance. Does that
This
make
might
sense?
be a stupid question, but what's the duration of a cap-exempt H-1B? Is it like, something you have to renew each year with the program until you keep getting the regular H-1B in the lottery?
Not a stupid question. We file 3-year visas for all of our fellows. So fellows can stay in our program for up to 3 years. This hasn't happened. We've had all of our fellows ultimately win the lottery or transition into another visa or green card. However, we're only 3 years old, so we don't have that much data. We only had fellows coming on for the last 3 years. So we don't have that much data on how long folks are in our program for ultimately. But obviously the 3 years is the cap. You can file an extension for another 3 years, but of course, at that point, you're most likely going to have won the lottery.
And one more question. So if, I just wanted to join the webinar, but I have 2 more years on my STEM OPT left. So I can actually apply for the lottery on, the one that takes place after March 23. So this year and next year. If I don't get picked in the lottery this year, would it make sense for me to apply for the fellowship, or would it make sense for me to wait until March 23 where I don't get picked, and then I have maybe a couple of months left on my OPT?
You should, so if in 2023, you have an expiration date right after the lottery. So this goes for anyone. If your expiration date is May or June of your OPT, which is right after the lottery, you might want to consider getting into cap-exempt H-1B status before the lottery takes place. Because the turnaround for a cap-exempt H-1B right after the lottery that's a tough one. So it depends. If you're July or August of within the year and your OPT expires then, I recommend waiting until the lottery, going through the lottery, seeing if you win, and then applying for our program.
Is it okay if I don't get picked in the lottery this year, say in August or September of 2022, I apply to the foundation? Is that going to be like, pushed back that I didn't wait until, I say March 23 for the lottery, or is it okay if I?
That's fine. And I always recommend people contact us earlier rather than later. I appreciate when folks are in our system. Those individuals do end up getting priority. If we've done an evaluation and you're already kind of talking to us, that is helpful. So definitely contact us at the end of next year.
One more question. Sorry if anyone else wants to ask questions as well, but I saw a lot of tech firms and tech startups and biotech firms on the list of the companies that you partner with.
Yep.
Has it worked out for any finance based employer? So I work at a hedge fund, and I have these STEM OPT, so I assume it qualifies for the specialty list. But
yep, the answer is yes. We've done this with for two financial analysts. Katie and Capital was on there. We worked with them, and we're about to work with do another financial analyst. We've done, so this will be our third. So it's totally possible. Specifically, if you have that, if we would really just look to make sure you have a degree in finance or a business degree with heavy finance courses.
It's like a math. I did my undergrad in math, and now I work in finance, so it's more of a quantitative role. So
great, awesome. Yep, that would work. So definitely apply. I see that Mike raised his hand. Mike, do you want to hop in with some questions?
Yeah, thanks, Danielle. I just have I have two, so I just ask them together and make it efficient. So, first one is, do you have currently spots available for, like, if we started the process in February? Is that something that's available, or what did you need to would I need to wait a little longer, based on what you currently have? And the other question I have is that I saw the fees, the quarterly fee. Do you have some kind of discounts for smaller companies? I think you had that before, so I'm not sure if that's no longer there or that's just something you didn't go into detail about.
Yep, we can start in February. We work on a rolling basis, so anyone can start any month doing this process. And we have in the past given startup discounts. We are definitely open to that conversation. Essentially, I look at how much funding the company has, and we have a scale based on that. We had 30 slots last year, and we did prioritize companies when we needed to that were able to pay those full fees. So it was a consideration for us, but our priority is helping foreign talent stay here. And so if we can do that and partner with companies and make it work for them, we are always trying to do that. So definitely open to having that conversation.
Okay, thank you.
I see more hands raised and I can't see who they are, but will one of you jump in?
Hi.
Or,
Yes,
great.
So I had no idea about the Cap-exempt status, so it's new to me. And I'm actually working for a data science nonprofit, and I'm managing a project for a university in Boston. And I was wondering, like if I were to apply for Cap-exempt status, then is there any criteria for the nonprofit? I mean, does it have to be a certain size? I don't know, like certain amount of years in operation, or like revenue wise, like what is the criteria?
So you have to be 501c3 registered in any state, and you have to have an affiliation agreement signed with universities. So, and you have to demonstrate that you're working towards the university's mission. So you would have to have basically this university that you're partnered with sign an affiliation agreement with your organization, and ensure that you have evidence that is demonstrating that you have a working relationship with them, which sounds like it would be pretty simple for you.
But my concern is it's a very small nonprofit, only active, like they started 2 years ago, and only like a bunch of people are working in it. So it wouldn't be a problem as long as we have the agreements, which we do. Okay.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
For sure. Any other questions?
Just one more. You said that you had 30 slots. Is that a 30 max or?
Good point. I didn't talk about the opportunities for next year and how many individuals we're taking on. So we have 30 companies in the fellowship right now, 30 company fellows. We are taking on about 30 to 40 more. So that means that we will have up to 80 total next year is our max. So 70 or 80. So there's clearly flexibility, as you can hear, but we are doubling the fellowship next year. We have plenty of slots open. So definitely apply. We obviously have high standards, meaning you have to be qualified for this H-1B visa and willing to take on this commitment. But if you meet those criteria, we're super excited to connect with you and really looking forward to bringing on a new cohort in 2022.
And would it make sense to apply now if if my OPT expiration is in June 23, or just wait out this lottery?
Yeah, you'll want to wait because of those quarterly fees. So when you get into the fellowship program, that's when you start paying the quarterly fees for Open Avenues Foundation. So you really want to time this so you're not in the and you have a 5-hour per week commitment to the organization, right? So you want to wait to start the fellowship until it's closer to the date that you are either your visa is expiring or you realize you're running out of status. So we would work with you to probably time that so it's more efficient for you. A few more questions that are coming through the chat. What does the transfer from a cap-exempt H-1B to regular H-1B look like? So let's talk about that timeline. Folks who are entering into cap-exempt H-1B status now, for instance, they're going to be entering into the lottery also. So I just had 7 approvals in December. Super exciting. Those fellows are starting in January of this year. They'll also be entering into the lottery in March. If they win, they are going to work as a fellow until October 1st, because that is when the new fiscal year starts for the government in the United States, and the new fiscal year for immigration begins, and individuals can transition into a regular H-1B. That transition is a new application. So your company will actually file a regular H-1B visa for you. And obviously, if you've been approved for the cap-exempt H-1B, it's the same application. So costs should be much lower. I know it is for the law firm we work with. They, are basically just charging filing fees at that point because they've pretty much already filed the same application. You're just filing, instead of checking off the box as cap-exempt H-1B petition, you're checking it off as regular H-1B petition. So it's a pretty simple process from there. You start October 1st and you immediately transition out of cap-exempt H-1B status. So October 1st is really that date where you transition into regular H-1B if you win. For folks that are starting now and they lose, they're actually going to wait until the next lottery and enter into it again. And they're going to stay in cap-exempt H-1B status or transition into a green card that they have pending or one of those other options that we talked about. Komal, does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Great. And then we have another question about the dates of the fellowship. So everything's on a rolling basis. We make our lives a little more challenging by doing that, but it's also really helpful for companies to be able to contact us at any point and start this process. So we are willing to start whenever a company feels like we basically will look at an expiration date of your visa and we'll kind of backtrack 6 to 8 weeks or more, just so there's a bit of a safety net and we feel comfortable, and we'll start the petition process and the contracting process then. And then we will, it takes 6 to 8 weeks to get that approved, and that's when the fellowship starts. So we have individuals in the program launching projects. We try to keep projects launched quarterly so that, so everyone is launching the projects together when they enter into the fellowship, but you can actually begin the fellowship at any point.
Got it. Thank you.
For sure. Any other questions? Anything else on the 5-hour per week commitment or the fellowship itself?
Hey, Danielle. So I have 2 questions, and I think this has been asked before, but I'll just repeat it. Yeah. So my current authorization ends sometime mid-June. So what would be the ideal, time frame that we should start processing with the Open Avenues?
Okay, so mid-June is a toss-up. I've seen individuals say, I really don't want to wait until April to figure out whether I win the lottery. And there are companies that are pretty conservative and would not like to have any risk that you will fall out of status and have to stop working for the company. And so in those cases, the company will typically say, let's just start this, get you into cap-exempt H-1B visa before April. And then if you win the lottery, we'll make sure that October 1st you start in regular H-1B. And if you don't, then you're good. You're in Cap-exempt H-1B and you have that safety net already. Other companies are saying, who are typically don't want to, are not as flexible financially, will say, let's wait till the lottery. And you have to contact us right after the lottery if you want to prevent running out of status. June is that month where we have just about 6 to 8 weeks. And it's our busiest time. So those are factors. We can do it for sure, but those are factors that companies will consider with the June date.
Okay, so like since you mentioned that you have a limit of how many fellowship you can accept, would that be a problem if the company reaches out to Open Avenues in, let's say, April after the lottery?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Yeah, so you mentioned about the total number of like 30 or possibly 40 seats that you would have, like you would accept. So from that perspective, would it be like challenging if the company reaches out to Open Avenues like after the H-1B lottery?
It's not going to be challenging. We are actually super fortunate. Our new colleague, Erin, is on the call today, and she's going to be helping me manage that time. So welcome, Erin. This is actually her first day with Open Avenues here. So we are going to be well equipped, and Erin will be very, onboarded at that point, and we're going to be tackling this together and building out the team. We have a few other new hires. So we'll be fine, and we will be able to take on, we're thinking we're going to pace out that 30. It's not going to be right after the lottery. So if you want to be included in that, I would suggest contacting me now, giving your information, maybe doing that evaluation ahead of time with us, and then you're in our system, and we'll know to either reach out to you to ask about your lottery results, or you will already be ahead of the game because you've done an evaluation.
Okay, and just last question about the 5-hour work schedule. So is it like each like 1 hour every day, like, or the weekends, like 5-hour one session? Like how would that be?
Yeah, and this someone else just actually asked a little bit more about those projects. So let's talk about those because it is really important that you know what you're signing up for when you sign up for the fellowship. So we know that all of you have full-time jobs. We know that our fellows are working for employers for more than 40 hours per week sometimes, and this 5-hour per week commitment is on top of that. So we're conscious of that, and we've built our programming so that you are launching pretty much quarterly projects. Every week, you're not spending 5 hours per week in front of students. That's not what the fellowship is. You come on board, you have 5 weeks of onboarding where you're learning about Open Avenues, you're learning about our students, you're preparing your project that you're going to launch with students. And then we have you actually participate in a micro internship or one of our 5 to 10 week projects with students. Those projects, like when you're actually on a project, it is definitely 5 hours per week of you preparing for that project, answering student questions, maybe having office hours with those students. But the micro internships are really flexible because it's your schedule that you're working around. The classroom projects at our community colleges typically will say, okay, here's the 1 hour per week that we have class. You need to try to block this into your schedule for work, which we won't do for someone that says, I cannot do that. But we, try to find fellows in our program who are willing to engage in that way. Obviously there's prep work outside of that 1 hour per week, but that 1 hour is the piece that, should be blocked into a schedule. Does that make sense for your question? Then I'll go into an example project.
Yes, it does. Thanks.
Okay, cool. So I can give a few examples. We are partnered with awesome companies, and I will say I'm not an expert in this space in any of their fields. So we rely on our fellows to actually go ahead and work with their company to scope a project that is not business imperative, but a challenge that gives students a taste of what the company does. So for example, we work with a company called Delegate. They are a company that works on data solutions for Taco Bell and KFC and these large fast food chains. And we had them actually, the fellow from Delegate decided he wanted to have students develop a new QR code tool for restaurant goers to fill out, and they would ultimately be able to collect new data points. This was not something that Delegate needed. It wasn't something Delegate told him that needed to get done. It wasn't something they wanted to have an intern do, but it's a product that was peripheral to what the company does. And, you know, was the coding that went into developing that QR code was something that students could write on their resume that they did and took from start to finish. And that was a really cool project for students to engage in. We have a company here at the MIT Media Lab that was developing testing swabs. And that was also super cool. And they did a cost estimation calculator for what it would cost a medical facility to order X amount of testing swabs. So that was also a coding project, but as it related to mechanical engineering and software development that the company was doing as they developed the COVID-19 testing swabs. Does that answer the question about projects?
Yeah, I have one more on top of that, Danielle. So actually, I'm also an entrepreneur, and I'm building a product to assess the data science skills of data analysts or scientists, and then we'll do engineers. And also I have another startup based in SF, and we do software development assessment. So companies use us in recruitment to assess the programming skills of software engineers. And like one idea about the projects is, can I use these products and onboard internships and interns from your program? Like, would it work as a project? I mean, like one idea is like I can make them like create more questions for our assessment systems. Yeah. And is there a number of students that I have to onboard, or if I were to hire interns from the program as a part of your program? So like, what would it look like?
Right.
Use products?
Yeah. So if you're an entrepreneur, we've had two of them come through as founders in our program. You can join the fellowship as an entrepreneur because your company can sponsor you for an H-1B also. And you could join it as a fellow and launch a project where you actually invite students to do real work for your company. It's totally possible. We would have to talk to you about intellectual property because who owns the outputs of our projects is actually pretty sensitive. We technically will own, students will be part owners in the work that they do, right? So if it's something that's super sensitive to the company, we don't recommend them having the project be done by our students. However, if it's like internship type work, like research, things like that, those deliverables are certainly something that you could get from students that work on your project. So yes, the answer is yes, we could figure out how to make that work.
That's great. Thank you.
And students, we talked a little bit about this, but students actually get paid for our micro internships. Students get paid for the 5-week micro internships. Students get paid a $200 stipend for completion from Open Avenues Foundation. So they are incentivized to participate in those projects.
Great, thanks.
Awesome. Anything else from folks on the call? Cool. Awesome. Well, we can end a bit early. I really appreciate everyone joining today. I have some contact information here. Erin, I included your email also because we'll start tag teaming some intake here. But for companies and any attorneys that want to talk to Open Avenues about nominating a company, if you're a founder, sorry, a foreign national, if you're a founder of a company, you're the company representative, contact me directly and please copy Erin in here. And then for foreign nationals who are thinking about this program and applying, we really need to talk to your company as well and engage them. But the first step would be to send your transcripts from your degrees and your resume to info@openavenusfoundation.org. Aaron and I are monitoring that inbox, and we'll be able to get back to you and do a full intake of your application. So those are the contacts, and we really appreciate you joining today, learning more about the program. Please tell other folks that are in your network about us. We're going to be doing these sessions monthly. So if you have more questions or you just need to hear this again, we're going to, first of all, post the recording on our website so you can re-listen if needed. And then we'll also be doing these in February, March, April, and then in May after the lottery to make sure that we are here for folks as needed. So looking forward to hearing from some of you, and thank you again for joining. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.